Hey, welcome into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Mo Patton here on this Preps Thursday edition. We got a lot of prep stuff today. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a good show, but also other guests, which will be exciting as well. Mo, I like the shirt.
Thanks. I like
Great,
too.
Great wardrobe choice today. So, yeah, we didn't even plan it. And
great minds think alike.
Well, it's perfect. It's the perfect weather for this particular outfit. So it's, we kind of, it was not a long shot that this would happen.
No. I mean, it's the in between season, and so you're kind of looking for in between gear. So this fits.
And what a show we do have planned for you. In just a few moments, we will talk with former Perry County player and coach, and also player under Bobby Knight at Indiana, KIRK HASTON. He will join us, talk about his experience with Coach Knight, who passed away yesterday. And we'll also talk with Kit Hartsfield as he prepares to take his team west to Decatur County, where they'll take on the Riverside Panthers out in Parsons, Tennessee. Should be a lot of fun. We'll also talk with David UBBEN of The Athletic. We've got Michigan, college football playoffs, and a lot of other topics.
Michigan and college football playoffs.
And they're intertwining.
Right.
So all of that. Looking forward to just talking with him, as well as, of course, Terry McCormick, who joins us at the top of the hour to give us your Titans report as they get ready to take on the Steelers tonight. So should be fun. Should be a great show. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Now, without further ado, let's hop in with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Thursday rundown is brought to you by Mockingbird Title and Escrow, an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee that will get your deals closed without worry and fuss. A family business that offers the highest level of expertise in the industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions. Consider them part of your family. Call 615-274-8698 or visit mockingbirdtitletn.com today.
Results from yesterday: men's basketball, Austin P takes very easy care of Tennessee Tech, 82-43, the final there. College football action last night is Bowling Green 24, Ball State 21. And how about the Zips? 3 touchdowns in the final 9 minutes to upend the Golden Flashes of Kent State, 31-27. That's a tough loss for Kent State, up 27-10 in the fourth quarter and lose. NBA action: the Grizzlies continue their struggles as Utah downs Memphis 133-109, and the Texas Rangers give Will Smith his 3rd consecutive World Series ring as the Diamondbacks are shut out against Texas at home. The Rangers finish 11-0 on the road in the playoffs, en route to a 4-1 World Series title.
That's crazy.
How about that?
That is crazy. Congratulations to the Rangers.
No doubt.
Thursday schedule in NFL action, as we mentioned, Tennessee is at Pittsburgh. That's a 7:15 kickoff on Amazon Prime. On the ice, the Predators continue their western swing with a stop in Seattle. 9 o'clock puck drop on Valley Sports South. Women's basketball action: Fisk travels to Bethel for a 7:30 tip-off. And in college football tonight, Texas Christian is at Texas Tech. That's a 6 o'clock start on FS1. At 6:30 on ESPN, it's Wake Forest at Duke. South Alabama at Troy, 6:30 on the Deuce and on ESPNU. The Valley, Mississippi Valley State at Bethune-Cookman. That is your rundown.
Top stories brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Looking forward to talking about them each and every day because it fills my belly. You've got great lunch specials, meat, vegetables, cobblers, and much, much more. We've also got fresh hand-cut meats daily as well. And of course, great fresh produce, all cost plus 10% at the registers. So make sure to go see the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Mo, our top story is, the death of longtime Indiana basketball coach and short-time Texas Tech basketball coach, Bob Knight.
Relatively short.
Yeah.
How long was he at Texas Tech?
That's a good question. I don't know that. But Knight had struggled with Alzheimer's and dementia for a time.
And can you imagine, the person he was when he was at the top of his game, what that was like for him to deal with?
Same with
For him and the
Pat
folks
Summitt.
around him. Yeah.
Same with Pat Summitt. I mean, it just, I read a story about, he was a big Cleveland Indians fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a story about him being gifted a book about the 48 Indians, and he was reading it, and one of his assistants would read the book to him, and he would stop him and talk about it, things that he remembered about it, and that was one of the things that really gave you a glimpse back or a connection back with him. If you were in his circle, it was like talking to Bob Knight and not a person you were taking care of. It's funny because there's a Riley Green song called Numbers on the Cars, and it's very similar. It's like, he doesn't know anything, but he knows all the drivers in NASCAR by the numbers on their cars. And, that's one of the issues that you kind of see with Alzheimer's and dementia patients. So it is tough to deal with that. I've not dealt with it personally, but you can only imagine how difficult it can be to have someone there physically but not mentally.
Absolutely. Knight spent 30 years at Indiana. Prior to that, 6 years at Army, and after that, 6+ at Texas Tech before he was dismissed in the middle of the 2007-2008 season. And the word that some people have used to describe him was complicated.
I certainly think, yes. I think complicated is the easiest way to describe how most people feel about Bob Knight. You can't not say, he was a great basketball coach. He certainly was that. There's no question. But he certainly had his personal issues, and so it's a complicated emotion.
I think it's even interesting to call them personal issues, because I don't know that he would tell you he had personal issues. I think people had issues with him
As a person,
I don't know that he had issues.
I certainly
And I think that's part of the complication, I guess.
I certainly hope that they do in fact bury him upside down.
That's what the man said he wanted.
So just honor the man's wishes. But we do have one of his former players on with us now.
Yeah. State Representative Kirk HASTON joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Midtown. Kirk, it's been a while.
It has
How are you
been,
doing?
and I'm doing fine. I'm actually coming back from a meeting, and I'm walking back into the school building here at Perry County High School. So if you'll bear with me, I'll be on a little bit better internet connection here momentarily. But I appreciate y'all having me on today.
No, man, we appreciate you taking some time. I mean, Bob Knight was in your life for almost 30 years, I guess. I mean, and having played for him, you saw all of him, I would imagine.
Yeah, I actually was telling somebody earlier today that my first year at Indiana, I definitely.
Well, he warned us.
That's the internet connection that is
All
switching
of it.
over. There it is.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So,
No, that's okay. We lost you for a second, as you warned us.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good, quiet internet connection here at the school, and I walked in on basketball practice, so I'm trying to give me. You're probably going to hear a little bit of action.
Hey, that's what we're talking about here.
We're used to it.
But yeah, I think one of the things that I was talking about earlier with some friends of mine is that we just had. We had to take advantage of a dictionary our first year there, and we had Calbert Cheney, and it was amazing how many players would come back, and the first thing that they would always say to us would be, listen to what Coach Knight is talking about, not how.
And there we go.
We lose him?
Yeah, we lost him.
Hopefully we'll get it back.
Yeah, just maybe we can call him, and hopefully we can get him via audio. That may be the easier option with that. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, that is the complication, is that people just didn't like the way that he talked to
The
them.
presentation,
Yeah.
which is what Kirk was kind of getting to. You have to kind of filter out how he said it and listen to what he said. And that's not always easy.
As I was listening, a friend of the program, Christopher Gabriel, had John Feinstein on his show a while back. They were talking about how he got into the program in order to write A Season on the Brink. And after he asked Coach Knight if he could spend some time during that season with him, Mike Krzyzewski said, "Are you out of your mind?" Because I mean, you have to know. You have to know exactly what you're getting with Coach Knight.
Well, and the thing is, I'm not necessarily sure that you knew from day to day what you were getting.
You had to be prepared for whatever happened. And so it is interesting. Kirk is back with us.
Awesome. There he is.
Oh, sorry about that. My apologies.
No, man, you're in Linden, Tennessee. We get it. I've been there.
Usually it's pretty seamless once I'm in the building, but I think I finally found a safe haven here at the classroom. But yeah, I mean, I was listening in a little bit of your conversation earlier, and I guess one of the things I always try to the perspective I try to give on it is that, yeah, Coach Knight definitely had some moments and some actions and some things that he said that I don't want to definitely speak for him, but I mean I think that he knows that they were some mistakes and some regrets, and the problem was, though, is that those mistakes and those accidents and those decisions was what was probably promoted and covered 99% of the time, when it wasn't 99% of the person. It was probably more of, that was probably 5 or 10% of the person. And I just always try to put it in perspective with people as if your worst 5% or 10% of things you've said and done were promoted and written about and documented and made an ESPN movie about and books about, most of the time, you would probably have a little bit of a worse image when people thought about you as well, especially when he really wasn't in the spin game of like getting his good works out there and getting his actions out there. And so, one time we got beat. I saw Michael Redd, that was NBA All-Star at one point. Was played at Ohio State. I went to summer league this summer with my boys out in Vegas, and I ran into him. And it's the first time that my kids thought I was cool at all. Was that Michael Redd knew me and I knew Michael Redd. But anyhow, we were talking about he and Scooney Penn beat us at Bloomington. They had an incredible team, and they danced on the logo at center court at Assembly Hall. And it's the maddest I probably have ever seen Coach Knight, and I've seen him pretty mad a few times. And, Ohio State, his alma mater, huge rivalry for him. And we just gave the game away at the end, and he was mad and lit us up in the locker room at halftime. And rightfully, or after the game, and rightfully so. And I'll never forget. I'll leave after that, end of the game. I'm going down to the training room down the hallway to get the tape and stuff off my ankle. And I look down a hallway next to the locker room that we don't use that much, a little kind of emergency exit. And Coach Knight's talking with the father, and he's knelt down on the floor talking to the boy that the father has with him. And he has all of this protective clothing on. He's probably about 8 or 9 years old. And he had all of this protective clothing on because he was a burn victim that Coach Knight had invited to the game. And he was just knelt down there talking with that kid and just giving him all of the time and all the focus and all the positive words that you could imagine. And that was just minutes after a crushing loss where if everybody was watching on TV or maybe heard him in the locker room from outside in the hallway yelling, would have thought, man, that guy's just, he's lost his mind. He's listened to how he's talking and everything. But it was usually a little bit more controlled and a little bit more of a performance than what a lot of times people realize. Not saying that, some of the time it wasn't, but he never did promote that other side very often. And so I think it's fair to look at both sides.
And Kirk, not only did you witness that other side, but you experienced that other side. The tornado that came through Perry County while you were in school up at Indiana, that you lost your mom. And it's my understanding that he almost beat you back to Linden. That's
absolutely true. The two towns there in Perry County are Linden and Lobelville, and the high school's in Linden. I grew up in Lobelville, and when I got back, my granddad had driven up to give me a ride back from Bloomington. He didn't want me driving after finding out about the news, and he came up pretty early, and we made the 5.5 hour drive home. And when I got to the house, I'd been back at my house, mine and my mom's house, for about 5 minutes when Coach Knight and the entire coaching staff walked in right behind me. I mean, they almost greeted me at the door if we just made one more stop on the way in. And he didn't want to stay and go to the funeral and things. He told me, he said, that's just, that's that type of attention needs to be for her and for your family. But he wanted to come in and it was just me and him, and he took me to the kitchen table where Mom and I had done homework and had birthday parties and meals and everything. And he sat down. It was just me and him. And he was just, he knew my mom from the recruiting process and her coming up to the games. And he knew, she was a single mom, and I was, I was the only child. And so it was kind of us, me and Mom and Granny and Granddad was pretty much our core group. And he just said, I know what your mom has had to go through as, a school teacher, raising a son and putting you in the positions that she has to get you where you're at. And I know how tough she is, and I know what kind of toughness that you've got to have in you because of that. And he was like, that's what I expect to see when you come back to Indiana. And that sounds tough, but I think that's probably what I needed to hear at that point. And it was a big turning point for me and what I wanted to do with my college career. And it was a big turning point for like me and the relationship I have with Coach Knott.
State Representative KIRK HASTON joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, as we discuss his relationship with late Indiana basketball coach Bob Knight. KIRK, a lot of folks probably would have asked you during that recruiting process that you talked about, why would you go play for this guy? So 30 years removed, why did you go play for this guy?
Well, I had originally planned on going to Vanderbilt. Van Bredikoff had offered me a scholarship into my junior year, and it was an hour away from home, SEC. It was checking a lot of boxes. And for whatever reason, Van Bredikoff rescinded the offer during my senior year, and I never have really heard of that happen a whole lot of other places. But I had the offer taken off the table, scholarship offer taken off the table. And so that kind of put me back at square one. I was ready to commit to Tennessee. Tennessee had a lot of early commitments, and so they really didn't have a spot for me. So Kevin O'Neill called Coach Knott and said, "Hey, I think you should go down and take a look at this kid. I think he might fit well with what y'all do at Indiana." So Coach Knott flies in and goes to Frank Hughes High School, Clifton, Tennessee, to watch me play. And we've got a pretty good team going that year, and we've got some pretty good crowds following us. And so we're at the game, and I never see him. I'm waiting for him during the girls' game. I never saw him come in, but during warm-ups, there's a big buzz in the crowd, and people start leaving the stands and going outside. And later I found out, not really a lot of cell phones back then. Anyhow, people were going out to the payphone, calling people and saying, "You need to get to the gym. Bob Knott is in the gym." And so there ended up being about 200 or 300 more people coming in during the first half of our game just because they heard Coach Knight was there. And I played okay. I had a good first half, but you never know what a coach is looking at, running, jumping, how you pass and move. So he leaves at halftime, and I never saw him. And talked to my coach after, and Coach Slatton at the high school, he hadn't heard anything. He didn't know anything. So I go to school the next morning, still hadn't heard anything. I'm in English class after lunch, Miss Ezel's English class, and I get called to the office for a phone call. And there's a phone off the hook on the principal's desk. I pick it up, and Coach Knight wasn't much for pleasantries. It wasn't, "How you doing? How's the family? Came to see you last night." I pick up the phone. He goes, "KIRK, I came to watch you play last night. I'd like for you to come play for me at Indiana. What do you think?" And so I'm standing in the principal's office at Perry County High School with the biggest, to that point, life decision I've ever made. And I just say, "Coach, if you think I can play for you, that's what I want to do." And he said, "I'll send you the paperwork." It was about a 45-second conversation. And so I hung up the phone, and I walked down the hallway and put a quarter in the payphone in the lobby of the gym and called my mom. And that's how she found out I was going to Indiana. And so I never took a recruiting trip to Indiana. I never met Coach Knight before I committed. But it just felt right, and felt like a place that took basketball seriously, and I was ball seriously.
Oh no, there he is. It's funny because there are very few programs and coaches who can call you and say, "Hey, do you want to come play for me?" And it's almost a no-brainer. And it sounds
that you
like
say
this
yes.
one was a
Yeah.
no-brainer.
Well, KIRK, I would guess you had to be a little impressed by the fact that he came to Clifton, Tennessee to watch you play.
He could find it.
Absolutely. You don't know how many stories have come from that trip. I've had state troopers tell me that they were part of the detail and they gave him a ride to the airport. He stopped at this place and got a barbecue sandwich. It's become folklore around. Like, apparently he made 20 stops along the way through here. But yeah, I told my granddad was a minister for 40 years, and he coached basketball at Freed Hardeman, played at Lipscomb. And so he was a basketball nerd. And so I thought he was going to be excited. I went up to my granddad and I was like, "Hey," he's like, "Granddad, I'm going to go play for Coach Knight." and he looked at me, and the first words out of his mouth were, "He sure does cuss a lot." And I was like, "Well, yeah." And then Hoyt Kirk, my granddad, and Coach Knight became, pretty good pals. When Granddad would come up for games, I would look up there after practice, and they'd be sitting 5-10 rows up at Assembly Hall, just those two, just with their legs crossed, talking basketball. And so he was good to me and my family. It was tough. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say it wasn't, but man, I just the things that I learned about what real competition was and what it took to be competitive, man, it was just like getting a PhD in basketball. And then you don't realize it at the time, but so much of that I've been able to apply in other things. And it's just, I wouldn't have changed anything.
Kirk Haston, former Perry County standout, former Perry County boys basketball coach, current state representative, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Kirk, appreciate you taking some time, and condolences to you and the Indiana basketball community on y'all's loss.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me on and having a chance to talk about Coach Knight a little bit.
All right. Hey, have a good rest of the day. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Kit Hartsfield joins us as well. We stay over in that area.
There we go.
Because he'll be making a trip that way. He'll have to drive right through there, as a matter of fact. Maybe he'll stop at one of them barbecue joints that Bob Knight
I'm sure there's plenty of them, yeah.
So stick around. Kit Hartsfield joins us right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well-rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Maurice Patton here as we are getting you ready for high school football playoffs, which start tomorrow night and run into Saturday for one team. Brentwood Academy is apparently playing on Saturday. Who knew? So, yeah, go figure. But
getting all they can out of that season, huh?
well, they're on the road, so it may be the other team that's trying to elongate the year. Who knows? But
wow.
But you can hear more about Main Street Murray's coverage area at 6 o'clock tonight on the Main Street Murray High School Football Preview Show, and we'll be talking about the game we're about to talk about now. And that is Mount Pleasant heading over to Decatur County Riverside to take on the Panthers and the team that ended their season last year. And to talk about it, we've got Mount Pleasant head coach Kit Hartsfield here on Coach's Corner. Kit, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
No motivation for tomorrow night, right?
I'm sorry, I lost you.
I said no motivation for tomorrow night.
Oh, shoot, man, it's playoff time. You know, it's win or go home. You know, so you better be ready to play. You know, there's no reason not to be. It's what you work for. So here we are.
How much did you have to look at Riverside this week, considering that they were the team that beat you guys in the second round last year? What's different about them this time around?
You know, they've spread the ball out a little bit more offensively. They instead of kind of leaning on their tailback, who is still there, that kind of blew up in the playoffs last year. You know, they spread the ball around a little bit more. They lean a little bit more on their quarterback option run game. So really, they're trying to just keep from wearing him down and making defenses defend the whole field. You know, they have pretty much everybody back from a year ago, except for a really talented nose guard that they had. I think they returned about 18 starters. So they look, you know, like they should. You know, veteran, well-oiled machine. It looks like they're getting healthy right about playoff time. I know they had some bruises early in the season. So, you know, we're familiar with them. You know, they're familiar with us just from the game last year. It was, you know, a great game, and it was just like a total war zone out there, just a physical game. And so, you know, I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises tomorrow between the two programs.
You know, Kid, as you guys go into this game, finishing up the regular season 8-2, you slipped up over at Lewis County, and then you had the shootout loss this past Friday night. I mean, what is the mood? Is it disappointment at being where you guys are? Is it you feel like this has been a pretty good season for y'all? What's the mood around this team right now?
Yeah, you know, the mood's great. I mean, you know, we hate losing, that's for sure. But you know, to us, you know, as far as the regular season, going through all the adversity we went through with guys in and out, you know, and the injuries that we've had, you know, we're pretty pleased, you know, with the outcome on the season. Although you want to be first place, you know, like everyone else does. You know, even if we had beaten Loretta and went 9-1, we still would be the 3 seed going to Riverside. We knew we were going to be the 3 before the Loretta game, probably. And for us, we just want to go out and, you know, take advantage of the opportunity to get to play football and, you know, be with your brothers, you know, late and with this senior class, and just enjoy the game. You know, they all matter to us, and I'm proud of these seniors for how they've really just enjoyed the moments and playing together, and just not taking it for granted.
Kit, you know, obviously you guys have had a lot of success this year, but coming off of a loss, a really difficult football game against Loretto, and, you know, you guys haven't had to respond to losses much this year. So how do you feel this team is responding throughout practice this week and, you know, getting prepared for another difficult football game?
Yeah, you know, we've been in tight situations all season long, even though we've won 8 of our 10 games. We've been in pressure moments. We took one on the chin at Lewis County. And we had to see how we responded to that. And, we went on a streak after that game, kind of got back on track, and was close last Friday versus Loretta. Again, it's playoff time. It's, everyone's got the same record now. Anybody worried about what's happened in the past, that's not going to help them. Everybody had to come out and have a good week of practice this week and prepare. And, obviously we have a lot of respect for our opponent, after playing them last year and see what they've accomplished in this year. So we definitely know what we're getting into, and our kids have had a good week of practice.
It has been amazing watching Darian Meza this fall. In your time as an assistant coach, where you've been, in your time as a head coach at Blackman before you came to Mount Pleasant, I mean, have you been around anybody else that is as dangerous with the ball in his hands as Darian has been for you?
Man, there's very few, that play, his style of ball at receiver and in the return game. And that's, George Beasy at Oakland around the 2013, 14. He went on to play at Mercer and played corner and receiver, and was a return man for Oakland when I was there. And Michaelis Elder was similar at Blackman, very explosive, but just the consistency at the rate he's been able to do it at, he's got, I believe, 10 career returns for touchdown. It's just at the point where, if he touches it, everyone is just waiting on him to make that play. And most of the time he does. So he's been dominant, and we see, the work that he's put in. It didn't just happen overnight. He practices hard, every single day. He runs 1,000 deep balls a day, it seems like. And, I sometimes joke with the offensive coaches, like, why are y'all sending him down there, 50 times a day? We know he can do that. But I think that's part of the success too. So it's just been a pleasure to see, one of your best players be one of your hardest workers and be rewarded for it.
And Kit, Friday night, for all the talk about his return game and his speed and that kind of thing, he made a couple of catches Friday night that were stellar catches. It's not just once he gets the ball, it's getting the ball.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, if we tell our quarterback, don't take a sack, if you think you're worried, throw it down there and let him go find it. And he usually does. He makes contested catches. He called a couple of red zone touchdowns, that weren't deep balls. A comeback route, a fade route that he had to adjust to in the air. He's got 3 interceptions on the season. I think he leads the team in that, and he only plays defense about 20% of the time because he runs so many deep balls and long runs that I really need his energy, exerted on offense and in the return game. He's just a ball player. He can do it all. He's tough. He's one of those that, he'll try to kill you to beat you, and that's kind of a coach's dream. And, I just think back to, in the summer, he rode his bike to workouts. He was always a few minutes late, and I'd ask him why. And he had to drop his sister off, at summer school, riding on the back of his bicycle. Most kids would use that as an excuse to not even come to summer workouts. So, what he's been able to overcome just throughout his life is unbelievable.
Kit, it is always exciting to watch your team play, and it's a really unique experience to watch this offense, but you guys also have a great defensive front. And how important is it to play better against this running game than you did last year to get a win?
Yeah, it was rough last week. It's probably the worst game since I've been here, maybe in my career defensively. And it was really odd that it was a lot of perimeter runs too, which is usually what we're best at defending. But anyways, credit to them. They had some really good running backs that were hard to tackle. But we have, we got to step up to the challenge this week. I mean, we have not seen an offensive line quite like this or a running back like this year. We saw them last year. They were the best we'd seen up front, and they'll be the best we've seen this year as well. So, we got to, buckle that chin strap a little tighter and give them everything we got to slow down this running game because, we're going to be outsized a little bit. The running back is bigger than a lot of our linemen. And turnovers were a big factor in the game last year as well. They're going to get yards. My message to them is just get them on the ground, make them snap it again and gain tackle and try to rip the ball out. I feel like when you play a team like this, you're not going to stop them, but you just got to try to contain them and, try to be on the right side of those 5 or 6 plays that determine the outcome in a game.
Kit Hartsfield joining us here on Main Street Sports today ahead of their round 1 playoff game at Decatur County Riverside in Parsons, Tennessee tomorrow night. If you can find it, you can go watch the game. If you can't, you probably aren't alone. So just try to follow the bus if you can.
There you go. Yeah, go in behind them. Big old convoy. That'll be fun.
Yeah. No, but if you've been to Scotts Hill, you've been by there. So
yeah.
So, and we've been to Scotts Hill, Kit, once.
Well, y'all have been to Scotts Hill. Yeah.
Hopefully it's better
never
than
again.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we appreciate you taking time with us, man. Good luck tomorrow night. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the field.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me. And thank you for what you do for the local area with the sports coverage.
Thank you, sir.
Happy to do it. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll not take a break. I'm sorry. You're right. We have hardware to hand out. So let's hand out some hardware to the End to Win Life Team of the Week. Of course, outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports, and Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. Contact Custom Stone Handlers 931-490-4990 or customstonehandlers.com. And our team of the week.
Our team of the week is the Columbia Academy Bulldogs, who completed a undefeated run through the Division 2A Middle Region to a championship with their, is it 49-14? I've slept since then. They defeated Grace Christian last week. It was on a Thursday night.
They did.
And so I've covered games since then. I don't remember the score. I'm pretty sure it was 49-14.
It was probably. So
at any rate, the Bulldogs 7-3 on the year with that win. 49-14. Yeah. So 7-3, the number 1 seed out of the middle region, off this weekend. Will play the winner of Jackson Christian Ezel Harding in next week's playoff action. But they are our Custom Stone Handlers team of the week.
The Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Athlete of the Week comes from our friend Kit Hartsfield's team.
Absolutely. Nick Brown, 16 of 26 for 410 yards, setting a single game school record. 6 touchdowns, setting a single game school record in that 56-52 loss to Loretta last week. So congratulations to Nick.
Now we'll take that break. When we come back, TSSAA announced the semifinalists for Mr. Football. So we'll tell you who those are right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Maurice Patton here with you on this fine Thursday, getting you ready for high school football playoffs. We'll be picking 10 games later in the show, so make sure to check that out and stick around for it. But right now, we'll talk a little bit about some individual athletes from across the state who have been named semifinalists for the Tennessee Titans Mr. Football Awards. 5 finalists in each of the
5 semifinalists.
5 semifinalists in each of the 9 classes, and of course 5 semifinalists in the Kicker of the Year, which is all classification wide. And we'll start, I guess, in Class 1A, because we have one guy just over the way that we're familiar with who is in the mix.
You're a little more familiar with him than I am, but Navy commit Ben Franklin from Cornersville is among the semifinalists and pretty well had to be.
It would have been real tough to explain.
Yeah. Also from that region 5-1A, Moore County's Dawson White is a finalist. You've also got South Pittsburgh's Jamarian Farrier, Dresden's Cameron Schlicht, I guess.
It's as good of a guess as I can.
SCHLICHT. And South Pittsburgh's Camden Wellington. So the Pirates with 2 semifinalists.
Ben Franklin on the year, 176 carries, 2,184 yards. That's a 12.5 yards per carry average, 31 touchdowns in just 10 games. And oh, by the way, does it on defense too. 11 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 37 tackles for loss while carrying a 4.0 GPA.
Student athlete.
Son, listen, you're gonna have to come at me with something heavy to outduel that. Now I'll tell you, Dawson White has been very, very good over his career at Moore County. And, I'm not saying that he's not deserving, but he's, and any of those guys from South Pittsburgh, we already know that they have some serious talent over there. But boy, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna take a lot for me to get on board with anybody but Ben Franklin.
There you go. In Class 2A, Huntington's Gray Eubanks, Riverside Stone Wallace, Trousdale County's Cole Gregory, East Robertson's Isaiah Groves. Is he a Kentucky commit?
Oh, that's a good question.
He's committed somewhere. And Mount Pleasant's Darian Meza. He of the 885 receiving yards and 18 total touchdowns.
He is a Kentucky commit.
Okay. Meza also finished second in the 400 last spring in Class A. So multi-talented, but speed is where it starts for him. And
You know, it was a couple of weeks ago that I had Cole Gregory as one of my Monstars.
mhm.
So would not be surprised to see that dude do some damage.
I think SEC commit is going to carry a lot of weight, or has carried a lot of weight in the selection process, probably.
Yeah.
So
And for good reason. I mean, Kentucky doesn't want you if you can't play football. Now, what you do once you get there and what they do with you once you get there, that's
Middle Tennessee was shut out in Class 3A.
not super surprising. I mean, outside of East Nashville,
There was some buzz around Giles County's Kamari Turner.
there was a little bit, yeah.
Kaylin Edwards from Dyersburg, Rodarius Jackson from Sheffield, Skyland Smith from Covington, all out west. Gatlinburg Pittman's Whitman Whaley,
It's a good name.
and Alcoa's Brandon Winton.
I hope Whitman Whaley is like the third or something.
I don't know if he's a third, but Brandon Winton is junior from Alcoa. So
We got juniors named Brandon. We're getting old. I'm just saying there weren't a lot of Brandons around like back in the day.
well, my son is a Brandon. Thank you very much.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. But before that,
Oh, yeah.
how do you even come up with that name? Like, who was the first person named Brandon? It's a weird name. And I mean, I just mean like it's new. It's a new name. It's not like, Whitman, like Walt. That's where Whitman comes from.
In Class 4A, Middle Tennessee makes up for its absence in 3 because in addition to Nick Moog from Anderson County and Carter Smith from Hardin County, you've got Macon County's Gabe Borders and a pair from Pearl Cone, Zion LaFrederick Simpson. I think it goes by Zion.
That's a great name.
Yeah. And Keyshawn Tarleton. They got an extra K in here. Not sure where
It's
that
not
came from.
Tarkleton?
No, it is not Tarkleton.
Oh, okay.
In 5A,
Sorry. I hope Zion goes by like Zrime or something. He's like
Just
Dion,
Z.
but with a Z.
Z is rhyme. Okay, I see what you did. All right. In 6A, Henry County's Caden Marshall, Southwind's Kelvin Perkins, Powell's Stephen Souls Jr., and a pair of Williamson County products, Page's Eric Hazard and Centennial's Dominic Reed are your 5A semifinalists.
Class 6A.
6A.
Talk about SEC commits, not just an SEC commit, but a Tennessee commit.
Boo Carter from Bradley Central.
And
he's pretty dangerous.
And at this point, with last week's results, Bradley Central may be the favorite over there. I don't know. Better watch out.
If there is a Bradley Central Oakland game, and I think at this point it would be in the quarterfinals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with Oakland's loss, I believe.
Well, How about that?
Yeah, that might be a game. I might have to call in sick that Friday night.
Well, I mean, yeah, depending. Hopefully, we'll have somebody playing, but if we don't, Thanksgiving weekend or the weekend before that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, let's see.
Bradley would not play Oakland until the semis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. All right. In addition to Boo Carter, you've also got Jerron Johnson from Bartlett, Cordero Walker from Germantown, and Riverdale's Braden Graham and Oakland's Dwayne Morris.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. In Division 2A, it's Monte Baldwin from Columbia Academy, Jalen Mosley from Jackson Christian, Brian Shields from FACS, Eli Wilson from Middle Tennessee Christian, and Tyson Walcott from Friendship Christian over in Lebanon.
Okay.
D2AA has a pair from Knoxville Webb, Marquise Barrett and Cooper Cameron, Knox Roberts from Davidson, Cruz Law from Christ Presbyterian Academy, and Ty Clark III from Franklin Road Academy. And in D2 AAA, you've got Memphis University Schools, Hudson Schoaf, Baylor's Amari Jefferson, Alabama commit.
I think he is, yeah.
Macaulay's Carson Gentle, Brentwood Academy's George McIntyre, and Lipscomb Academy's Caleb Beasley. I believe Beasley is committed to UT. And McIntyre is one of the top junior quarterbacks in the country. Kicker of the year, Logan Lewis from Lexington. There's a lot of L's there. Roman Mathis from Davidson Academy. Knoxville Halls is Owen Taylor. Mount Juliet's Daniel Echevarria, and Tullahoma's Grant Chadwick. So
there you go. Those are your semifinalists. The finalists will be announced on November 21st via Tennessee Titans website and social channels.
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock Central. And the winners will be announced at the luncheon on December 5th following the state championships.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel will be involved in the announcement of the finalists, I do believe,
That's
along
pretty cool.
with the VOT, Mike Keith. So look out for that here soon.
No doubt. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Terry McCormick has a Titans report, so stick around. Main Street Sports Station presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be back after this.
He shoots and he scores!
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic. The top of the hour Titans report with Terry McCormick, and Terry is obviously proving that today is the first day of the next season with his New York Yankees.
That's right.
And everybody's 0-0 today, Terry.
That's right. It's your Zen Sports Titans report, and yes, it is the first day for the Yankees right here. So there you have it.
0-0, baby.
You know, here's what's funny. I almost wore Braves gear today.
Hey,
I had a Braves gear ban from the end of their season until now. So we're open now for business for 2024.
So you're back on the Braves bandwagon.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
You can talk about them again.
Yeah, I've been sitting here pretty quiet, so it may be about time to get started back up. But Terry, on to Pittsburgh on a short week.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
absolutely. And this is an interesting matchup because I think, this is a game the Titans can win if they do a couple of things. If they don't make a lot of brutal mistakes, and if the offensive line can hold up and protect Will Levis from TJ Watt and those other rushers that the Steelers have. If they can do those things, I think they can go into this hostile environment and come away with a victory potentially.
And those other rushers, I think, is the biggest concern because TJ Watt is a concern in and of himself, but they've got other guys, and I think didn't they just bring Cam Hayward back? Is he?
They've got Cam Hayward back for tonight. They just activated him off IR yesterday, I believe it was.
Chris Hubbard is out.
He'll be another one that they'll have to contend with.
Is Chris Hubbard out tonight?
Chris Hubbard is out, so that means Nicholas Petit-Ferrer at right tackle and Andre Dillard back at left tackle. So I would look for probably I don't think the tight ends are going to be involved in the passing game a whole lot. Given that they're having to go back to Andre Dillard at left tackle, I wouldn't look for, if you've got Chig Okonkwo in your fantasy league, might be time to bench him.
Good night to sit him, huh?
Yeah, I would think so. Not that he's not going to play. I just don't think he's going to be a real factor since they have to do everything they can to keep Levis upright in order to throw the football. So I may be wrong, but I think that's probably going to be the case.
There you go. What's it look like for this offense? Do you feel like this is going to be because it's cold, you try to run the football and play ball control, or are they going to, give Will Levis the reins?
I think they're going to try to do a balance. I mean, this offense is predicated on running the football and then taking the play action shots deep. I think with what they saw out of Will Levis Sunday against the Falcons, I don't think they'll, curtail his ability to throw the football at all. I think they'll still try to move the ball down the field with the pass, but I think it's all predicated on the run because you guys know as well as I do, they can't have penalties and they can't have, runs that are just shut down so that they're in 3rd and 8 all the time. That doesn't work with this offense. You got to stay ahead of the chains, and I think that's one of the key elements for the Titans to go on the road and maybe pick up their first win away from Nissan Stadium.
Should be fun. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, Terry, of course, this is brought to you by Zen Sports, so we do need to tell folks that if they have a gambling problem, they can call this number.
That's right, 1-800-889-9789. If for gambling problem, Zen Sports. This is your Zen Sports Titans report.
We'll come back after this with David Ubben, talk a little college football. Stick around.
Smiles. These are the healthy smiles of real Delta Dental members. Folks with access to the nation's largest network of dentists and low-deductible plans with 100% preventive care coverage, all backed by over 65 years of expertise. Go online or give us a call to learn about affordable individual plans that meet your needs. 1-855-844-0445.
It's the biggest racing show of the year, Friday through Sunday, November 3rd through 5th at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. 6 fast-paced divisions of racing on the quarter mile Friday night, pole qualifying and 3 big feature events Saturday night, and the Curb Records Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers All-American 400 on Sunday afternoon. Racing starts at 6:30 Friday, 5 o'clock Saturday, and 1 o'clock Sunday. Tickets available at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.racing or at the gate on race day. It's the 39th All-American 400 weekend, Friday through Sunday, November 3rd through 5th. Get your tickets now.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today. It's presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, live from the Lee Company studio here in Columbia, and talking now with the Athletics, David UBBEN. Plenty of college football topics to broach today, but David, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. David, I guess the biggest thing going on in college football right now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is what to do about Michigan. What's going to be done about Michigan? Who's going to do something about Michigan?
Or not?
What's up with Michigan?
Well, I could sign you guys my answer, but I'll just use electronic communication to communicate.
Somebody might steal it if you did, so be careful.
Well, the NCAA is not going to do something about this fast enough. That's clear. And I think, Tuesday night, the CFP chairman essentially saying, hey, we believe this is an NCAA issue. As long as they're eligible, we are not going to do anything. Well, that prompted some anger from an already sort of simmering situation in the Big Ten, because the Big Ten conference could do something this afternoon if they wanted to, if they felt like they had enough evidence to do so. But it would be pretty unprecedented, and there's no specific punishment for what Michigan is alleged to have done. And I think certainly there doesn't seem to be a lot of doubt over what Michigan did at this point. And we've talked to enough coaches, I have, my colleagues have, that most of the people believe that this had a significant impact on the quality of Michigan's team. And so new Big Ten commissioner Tony Petitti is stuck in a really tough spot here because, obviously you have a situation where you have a conference full of people. It's not just Michigan State. It's not just Ryan Day that's frustrated. It's pretty much the whole league that feels like they were cheated. But you have a rule book that doesn't really say what you're supposed to do. So if you come over the top and you say, hey, they're not going to be in the Big Ten championship game or making them, ineligible, well, that's a pretty drastic move. And, it's not like Michigan can really do a whole lot if they're unhappy. But it would be unprecedented, and you have a new commissioner that is still trying to find his way. It's an impossible spot kind of to be in because you have sort of, a Michigan team that broke rules most likely, that don't have any specific punishments, and a league full of people that are begging you to drop the hammer. But there's just no handbook for this. And, Tony Petitti's a TV executive. So, it's this is new ground. So I don't envy being a decision maker in here, but if I was guessing, I don't think anything's going to happen, but it's moving fast, and, we'll see what Saturday looks like. Michigan's finally going to take the field, as this has kind of picked up steam in recent weeks.
When you say you don't think anything's going to happen, do you mean you don't think anything's going to happen anytime soon, or you don't think anything's going to happen?
I think the idea that the Big Ten will levy punishment before all of the facts are known. There's a lot of facts out there, but I think the idea that the Big Ten is going to come in and levy punishment before all that, before the NCAA or before any kind of formal investigation, I don't think that's how conferences usually operate. Now, this is an unprecedented situation that might require an unprecedented move, but we're just in uncharted waters here, and you don't have an iron fist commissioner or a commissioner that has a lot of trust of everybody in the league. He's a new face. They're trying to figure it out, and this is a crucial situation. Kevin Warren lost a lot of goodwill by the way that he handled COVID in the Big Ten, and Tony Petitti, for better or worse, how he handles this will influence how a lot of people around the league see him.
Well, wouldn't it be in his best interest to shun one in order to gain the trust of 11 others?
But that one though is.
I understand. I'm just saying that you could gain a lot of goodwill from 11 institutions in this.
In theory.
In theory, yeah, because what I read somewhere that it's like when you're a parent and this is the child that's really kind of paying the mortgage for the house. I mean, can you really ground them? So
can't keep them in their room because they got to go to work. And so I think, yeah, I mean, how much of is there any, ancillary evidence if, Michigan goes to Penn State and just gets drubbed in 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, I think there's some questions about what happens if they don't beat the brakes off of Purdue.
Sure.
On Saturday, they're coming off a pretty solid beating from a Nebraska team that's improving, but it's still not a great team. A lot of flaws, and Michigan.
Hey, they control their destiny in the West if Minnesota loses.
I think I control my destiny in the Big Ten West. Honestly,
you're right.
But no, I think the reality of the situation that Michigan's in is if they win that game like 23-13, it changes the conversation about them. There's going to be a lot of people that were like, "Well, now you can't steal signs." I've compared it to, I don't know if you guys have seen the American Cinematic Classic Like Mike, but it's a little bit like Lil Bow Wow playing without the shoes, man. You don't have the shoes. You don't have the signs. Are you that great anymore? Fair or not, that's going to be a question. And so it behooves Michigan to win big. I believe they're a 31-point favorite. If they kind of mess around in that game, you could say it's distraction. You could say, everybody gets got at some point, but the reality is there's going to be a lot of people in the sport saying, see, and but the Penn State conversation is interesting as well.
David, your colleague at The Athletic, Bruce Feldman, today, he clearly had some sources from inside that Big Ten conference call, and people aren't happy up there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in reality, is this something that, that the Big Ten should do something about, in your opinion, based on what you know and what you're hearing from coaches? Just your opinion. Should they do something?
There should be some kind of penalty, clearly. What that penalty is really, really complicated because
you're setting the precedent.
I think you asked around coaches, if you're talking about paying kids or, breaking any of the other rules that are pretty commonly broken in the sport, there's not the same amount of like fury from coaches. I have had some conversations over the last couple of weeks that like coaches are like foaming at the mouth over this. And they're the ones who would be the so-called experts on the actual on-field impact of this. And the general belief, and my colleagues did a survey as well on top of that, the general belief is that this had a pretty serious impact on their bottom line, on made them a better team. And so I think that when you ask, around the Big Ten, I think they would certainly love for them to ban Michigan from the Big Ten championship and sort of dare the CFP to put them in, and say, hey, well, we washed our hands of this. I don't know, but certainly they should be punished. But what that is, I really don't. I mean, I don't know. It feels like maybe banning them from the postseason feels like it's too strong. That's not really like a postseason ban. That's reserved for pretty serious stuff, and this is pretty serious. But like,
if
the
they
rule
had
is
to
not
forfeit those games, they would not be eligible for the postseason.
I mean, that's part of it too. It's just, again, we're in uncharted waters, and I am grateful that I can just write about it. I don't have to make any of these decisions because, like I said, I feel very certain that there should be some kind of punishment. But what that is that scholarships? Is that something, down the line? I feel confident that it's going to be a while for the NCAA. The NCAA is not going to get to anything by the end of the season, but the Big Ten has it within its power to do something, and that's why you're seeing so much pressure privately and I guess publicly, from unnamed coaches. Bruce, he knows everybody, so there's a lot of pressure on Tony Petitti to do something.
Meanwhile, the Big Ten conference offices is probably just hoping that Ohio State takes care of this, right?
Or Penn State in 2 weeks.
You'd better hope. That simplifies things a little bit. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. I mean, I'm interested to see them this weekend because I have questions myself about like how much did the sign stealing thing, improve Michigan because the timeline is not convenient for them. You know, I've thought the same thing that a coach said in Bruce Feldman's piece with Nicole Auerbach earlier today. The guys on the hot seat, they go 2-4 in the weird COVID season. And then basically in one off season, they become like a team that's on top of the world. You know, you go to 2 playoffs this year. They're the betting favorite to win the national championship. I'm not sure if that's still the case with all the stuff that's happened with them, but you know, they've certainly been absolutely dominant, even though the schedule has been light. And so it's a fair question, I think, of like how much of this is development in your program. When you're cheating like this and doing the things that they were doing, you know, this is why we're asking a lot of coaches. Like, I'm not a coach. I don't game plan every week. I'm not in the middle and on the headsets on Saturday. The coaches are the ones who can know how much this would affect it and how big of a deal it would be and how much a team could be better. You can say it's sour grapes. You can say it's jealousy, all that stuff. We've talked to coaches that are close to Michigan and not close to Michigan. It seems like it would be a pretty big deal, you know, and that's the thing is the facts of the case seem relatively clear. We hear new things every day. I mean, the Central Michigan thing brings a bunch of interesting questions because I don't think there's a lot of value at all in him being there. That seems like it's just an unnecessary risk. You know, that game is on television, my guy. You're not like, you know, you're not wearing a fake, you know, mask or whatever. So it's like, that just feels like insane to me that you would risk that. But, you know, I keep coming back to there is no playbook for this. And
there really isn't.
When you're in this zone, this is what they pay you the commissioner to do. You know, I suppose if somebody wants to pay me that kind of money, I would make these decisions, but I'm not envious.
If I were the commissioner, it would be really hard not to do something, even if it is my first year. I'm just gonna have to, you know what? I'm gonna make a decision, and if y'all don't like it, you can pay me to leave, I guess.
I mean, do you guys think they should be banned from the postseason? I'm curious.
I think they should. I think they should have to. I think they should have to forfeit any wins this season to this point. Mm-hmm. Whatever that happens, whatever makes that happen, it is what it is.
And whatever happens as a result of that, I guess. David Ubben of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. David, what else is going on in college football?
Well, we might have the SEC West decided on Saturday. We might have the Big 12 completely flip. You know, Texas will be tested without Quinn Ewers. You know, Malik Murphy hosting Kansas State, a really good team that's really hot. Oklahoma going on the road for the last Bedlam game. You know, if those two teams lose that game, you know, there's some serious, things that can happen in the Big 12. You know, for a lot of time this season, people have been assuming it's just going to be Texas and Oklahoma, but the Big 12's got a 5-way tie for first place right now. And if Texas or Oklahoma loses that game, there's a lot of people standing between you and Arlington. And I will be down in Athens this weekend, checking out Mizzou's attempt to knock off Georgia. I haven't seen Georgia in person this year. Mizzou's been one of the surprise teams in the country. We'll see if they can push them. So a lot of really good games this week. You know, Penn State got to play Maryland. Maryland flirting with letting go of the rope right now. A team that started out 5-0, and you look down their schedule, and you might want to. A bowl is not a guarantee for that team. So some really interesting football happening.
What happens if LSU does beat Alabama?
Well,
then it's mayhem.
Jaden Daniels will be the first quarterback since Drew Brees to beat Nick Saban 2 years in a row. I think LSU would still have to kind of prove it and keep winning some ball games. That's at the end of the day. I'd have to double check. I think they would still be a game behind.
They would, but there would be a 3-way tie between them and Ole Miss.
Yeah, so it would open things up quite a bit. I suspect that we're going to see an Alabama team that really takes advantage of a beat up, not very good LSU secondary. I think Bama wins that game big, but they've kind of messed around. They've played really poorly in the first half quite a bit. You know, obviously Texas outplayed them for 60 minutes, but you look at they're sluggish against A&M. They got their butts kicked in the first half against Tennessee before they kind of snapped in the second half there. And this Bama team is really interesting. I am willing to sort of throw out the USF thing. I think they were trying to figure out what the story was with their quarterbacks, and the idea that you just wouldn't play Milroe. You hear a lot of interesting theories about why that is, but the way this offensive line is played, it's Milroe seems like the guy, and they've kind of tailored their offense around him, and they have really thrived in the last few weeks.
David, I'm going to ask you a question because I'm going to ask Mo the same question. You guys have been around the Tennessee program for, you were there for several years in the, in the 90s, and David, you were around it for a long time before going national with the Athletic. And I read a poll on Twitter/X earlier today, and it got me thinking, is Tennessee, is Danny White the best athletics director in the last 30, 40 years at Tennessee? Think about the success that he's had across all sports, hiring coaches, and the success that the program has had. All in all, is he the best athletics director that Tennessee's had since, I don't know, I was born, 86?
Well, see, here's the deal. I thought best since Doug Dickey, but when Doug Dickey was AD, they had split men's and women's athletics departments, actually. Okay. And Joan Cronin was running things on the women's side. Okay. And Doug Dickey was the men's coach, AD. And at that point, basketball was not great. So, I think under their current structure, I think it's a no-brainer that he is. Who else would it be? Now, maybe David can offer some more or better insight because he's been closer to the program more recently than I was. But
I don't have a lot of insight. I don't go back that far with Tennessee in terms of being able to speak to ADs, but I do, at the end of the day, if you're the guy that fixes football after 15 years, you're always going to get a lot of credit for that. And I think too, like making a hire that is panned might be strong, but sort of like eyebrow raising of like, this guy, like, really? And then it ends up working. I think you get a lot of credit for that because you put yourself out on a limb. Like, I remember the night that Josh Heupel was hired. I remember talking to people in the coaching profession and around Tennessee. There were no plans for a parade. I can tell you that. And all they've done since then is win a whole bunch of ball games.
I will tell you, there might have been a lot of people moving in the same direction, but it would have been somebody getting run out of town, more so than a parade. So
yeah. And you're sitting here, and I hear a lot of complaints about Tennessee, and this looks like a team cruising to an 8 or a 9 win season, and people are like, "What's wrong? Are we, everything's falling apart?" It's like, I don't know. They look pretty competent, and they've missed in the portal. Dante Thornton has not been setting the world on fire. Joe Milton has come very short of what I think the staff would hope that he has been, and the defense has improved. And you have Brew McCoy, who's supposed to be your number one receiver, who suffers a terrible injury. And Tennessee's still fine. They're probably not going to win the East again. They're probably not going to win the East this year, but they're still a pretty good team. And that is not something that we have seen. 1 or 2 things go wrong for this team in the last 10, 15 years. And all of a sudden you're in 5-7 land. And the floor for this team seems very, very high. And that there is real value in that. And it just, you're coming along at just a time where it's unfortunate that you're sharing a division for one more year now with the class of college football, and you can't control that.
And you've had to play Alabama every year forever. Mm-hmm. So, and obviously for the last 15 years, they've been the class of college football, and you had to play both of them, both Georgia and Alabama. So but it is interesting because, the question was, do you approve, strongly disapprove, et cetera, the whole range of Danny White's tenure at Tennessee. And I don't think you could say anything other than strongly approve based on, what he's been able to do with fundraising, everything that's going on around Neyland Stadium, all of the improvements around the campus, and obviously the guy who fixed football. So Danny White has been
not necessarily in that order, because again, like David said, when you are the guy who fixed football
that's what
Tennessee,
it is.
It's impressive. And
if you want to build all this stuff up and add to the finances and do all this stuff, but football still stinks, People are still going to run you out of town, and they're going to say, "Oh, he's more concerned with the pocketbooks than the win-loss record." That's just what it is. I've seen it time and time again.
Well, I for one, as a Tennessee fan, am glad to have Danny White in our corner. I think he's been a fantastic breath of fresh air. And if you don't strongly approve right now of Danny White, you are. I need to hear your reasoning because
I don't want to hear your reasoning.
Your last name may be Haslam, and that's it.
Or Pruitt.
There you go.
Perhaps.
David, as always, man, it's always a pleasure. We appreciate you bringing some insight and talking through this Michigan thing with us. I think it's obviously going to continue, and certainly Saturday is going to either help or hurt the narrative that we've all kind of gotten to. But we appreciate you.
Very interesting ball game. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we pick 5 of the most intriguing high school football games from around the mid-state and 10 total before the end of the show. So stick around. Main Street Sports Days presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Be back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Maurice Patton here with you on this Preps Thursday. We've talked with Kit Hartsfield. We've told you who the Mr. Football semifinalists are, and now we're going to pick some high school football games. Mo?
Round 1 of the playoffs.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding. So yeah, let's get started. To get our article pulled up,
so you know who you picked.
Yeah, exactly. And you can follow along at mainstreetpreps.com, mainstreetmurray.com, and see, how we did last week, how we've done this year.
No, you don't want to see that.
Speak for yourself. Where do you want to start?
We'll start with Stratford at White House Heritage, Friday at 7 o'clock. All of these should be Friday. Is the Brentwood Academy game in here?
I didn't realize that was a Saturday game, and I don't understand why.
Buddy, your guess is as good as mine, but
They're
have to
playing
call
at
Briarcrest.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Mm.
But White House Heritage hosting the Spartans of Stratford.
The Spartans of Stratford featuring first-year coach Anthony Law and his Louis Vuitton, former Beach quarterback Justice Law, who had a really nice senior year playing for his dad, coming off of a junior season that wrapped up for him in the Class 6A state championship game. I thought a little of that success would rub off on this Stratford team. I think it has. And I think a little of it will rub off on this Stratford team on the road tomorrow night. I'm taking the Spartans.
Yeah, I think this is a toss-up game. I think both teams could certainly win it, which is, the tough part in picking it.
This is a 2-3, right?
This is a 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
And so in these type of situations, I typically go with the home team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with the home team and go with the Patriots of White House Heritage and Bronson Bradley.
It's never a bad pick to go with Bronson Bradley.
There you go. All right. Tullahoma hosting Nolensville. The question here is, does Nolensville have its quarterback?
I don't believe they do.
And if they don't, then I feel real good about my pick.
Yeah, because Page handled Nolensville pretty good last week as the Knights were without their quarterback.
Yeah, and it was 45-14, the final score there. 17-14 win over Summit 2 weeks ago when they lost their quarterback. And so, and this is not a dig on Summit, but Nolensville to that point probably
had been rolling.
Yeah, outside of a 3-point loss to Centennial, were absolutely rolling. And so, you kind of felt like maybe that quarterback going out was the big issue. And I think if he's not back, then I feel comfortable telling you that the City Cats of Tullahoma will take advantage and take down the Knights.
Yeah, I think I like Tullahoma in this matchup. I feel like they've been playing pretty well, with the exception of obviously that Shelbyville loss last week, which I expected. So I think they bounce back here.
We go now to one of the more interesting games, as Riverdale, coming off of a massive win in the Battle of the Borough over Oakland to take the region title. Green Hill comes into this one off a 35-3 win against Mount Juliet in a rivalry game.
I would tell you that the Green Hill win over Mount Juliet and the way they did it, like you said, 35-3, is more massive than Riverdale converting a 2-point conversion on a tip pass in the end zone
and
to win 25-24.
And the fact that they were awarded a touchdown on a catch that most certainly was not a touchdown, and if there were replay in high school football, would not have been a touchdown.
Okay, I can't tell you that because I don't know anything about that.
Well, essentially, kid catches it, falls on his butt, bobbles it, catches it, secures it, but he's out of bounds.
Okay.
And so I'm just saying that, there's some folks out there.
I don't think any of that's going to matter, though, because I think Riverdale is good enough to beat Green Hill the way they're playing right now. That 35-3 win over Mount Juliet notwithstanding, this team was kind of sputtering over the second half of the season.
2-3 in their last 5.
And
but why is the real question. And I don't know enough about Green Hill to know.
I don't know enough about Green Hill. I don't know enough about Mount Juliet to know why they lost
2 in a row,
including 1 to previously winless Franklin.
So
by a combined score of 63-10.
So it really makes you question that Mount Juliet situation.
Yeah, and I put a feeler or 2 out on that and couldn't come up with anything. I don't know what's going on with Mount Juliet. Don't know what's going on with Green Hill, but I do feel like Riverdale wins this ball game, particularly at home.
I've got Riverdale as well, and so Warriors advance. Let's go to Ravenwood. They host Stewart's Creek.
The Raptors and the Red Hawks.
This is a really good.
This is another 2-3.
This is a solid logo matchup. One of my favorites here. This is a game that, coming off of the loss to Brentwood, Ravenwood certainly feels like, they have some things to prove,
some scores to settle, as it were,
perhaps.
Yeah.
And so, you never want to be in that situation against Will Hester.
Yeah. And, as we talked to him a couple of weeks ago, I guess last week, heading into the Battle of the Woods, this is a team that does not boast a lot of star power, this Ravenwood team, but they played some pretty good ball. They've lost 3 games to Alcoa, to Oakland, and to Brentwood.
None of those losses, anything to show. I mean, Alcoa only lost 1 game, and that was to Maryville. Brentwood's undefeated, and Oakland's 1 loss in Tennessee.
It's to Riverdale.
To Riverdale.
Yeah.
So tough schedule.
So I say all of that to say I like Ravenwood in this one by double digits.
I too like Ravenwood. I don't have it quite that big of a spread, but I really just put numbers there.
Yeah.
I didn't pick 11 this time.
Less concerned with the score than the outcome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Finally, before we take our final break, Nashville Christian at Providence Christian. This is an interesting game because Providence Christian in their first playoff appearance, and Nashville Christian, talk about teams that have sputtered in the second half. They seem to have struggled a little.
I saw them a few weeks ago at home against Columbia Academy, and Jeff Brothers, after the game, kind of made some comments that I've not really heard him make. He was kind of despondent, I guess, maybe even just with regard to the mindset of his team, I think. But yeah, they've got a lot of talent, and
no question.
And it's easy to see, and it starts with the quarterback, Jared Curtis, the sophomore. And I think in this game, the talent will be enough to advance. What's down the road for this team, I don't know, but I think they get past Providence Christian.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree with that. Providence Christian has had a fantastic year in, is this their first year?
I think it's their first year of 11-man football, maybe.
Well, got a couple of interesting wins. to say the least. But yeah, you look at games against teams where we know where the cream is in Division II. 42-3 loss to DCA, 41-3 to Friendship Christian, 41-0 to MTCS. It's when you get up against teams like that, and Nashville Christian is one of those teams, 4-6 record notwithstanding. Very talented football team. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
All
right, we'll take a break. When we come back, 5 more games, including the game of the week, which is Independence and Smyrna. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Back in a moment.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. More high school football pick'em here as we are in round 1 of the TSSAA playoffs, Mo. Cannot believe it's playoff season.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It feels like playoff weather right now.
But it's supposed to feel better tomorrow.
At least a little bit. I hope. I'm
not ready for
no
cold football.
No, I don't love it. It's not my favorite.
I don't necessarily mind going out in the cold and getting back inside, but going out in the cold and staying out in the cold. Yeah, no, I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
Well, let me stop lying. I'm never ready for that.
No, and so that's hopefully going to. Hopefully, this is just false winter. And fall returns next week.
Yeah, and when we can get to basketball season before it gets cold.
Ridiculous.
Where I'm inside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll start this segment in Murfreesboro as the Patriots of Oakland host Gallatin, the Green Wave, coming into town on Friday at 7.
I'd be interested to know what Kevin Creasy's record is after losses.
Gosh,
because there've not been very many of them.
Well, that's the thing is for the years that I'm sure they started 1-0 all those years after they lost to Maryville in the playoffs. And so, yeah, it's probably pretty good. And it's probably going to get better this week.
I dare say. I think even the way that Riverdale game played out, I think it's still going to be a motivational point for that coaching staff and for those kids. And I think Gallatin might just be in the wrong place at the wrong
This
time.
is an unfortunate situation for the Gallatin Green Wave. It just is. You know, if this game were in Gallatin, maybe there's something to be said. But I mean, Oakland is certainly going to take some frustration out.
I think
on the Green
that
Wave.
could very well be the case.
So look for Oakland to win there. Mount Juliet, this is the other game in that. So the winner of Gallatin Oakland will play the winner of this one. That's Rockville at Mount Juliet. Mount Juliet coming off a pretty tough loss to Green Hill. Maybe they were resting folks over the last couple of weeks. They were not maybe staying vanilla, trying to, because they already had the 1 seed wrapped up before the Franklin game. So I don't know. Maybe Trey Perry had some week 18 vibes about him. I don't know.
I don't know, but 35-3 tends to leave a little bit of a mark, I think, regardless of what the intentions were. Now, that said, Rockville has really had some ups and downs this year. And I think they're dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, they've struggled and they've not been healthy at all. They've not been 100% healthy at all this year. They're not healthy right now. Rockville is in a tough spot.
I think Mount Juliet wins this game, but I don't know
you got to win it by more than I do.
I don't know that it's going to be a convincing victory, just because, again, Franklin and Green Hill kind of leave you wondering where this Mount Juliet team is right now.
Yeah. And now if Mount Juliet were to win, they would get to host Oakland in the next round. So because they would be the 1 seed and Oakland's at 2. So that's
kind of some old school football right there when those two get together.
So I'll be interested to see this one, but I think Mount Juliet does get the win. This next game may be one of the more intriguing matchups, especially when you talk about 1s and 4s. Collierville comes to Clarksville, 10-0 Clarksville.
Mm-hmm.
Collierville, the number 4 team out of that region in the Memphis area, but over the last couple of years, that region has shown its muscle against Williamson County.
They really flex against Williamson County and some pretty good Williamson County teams. And
so don't get too comfortable if you are a Wildcat.
I just don't know that Collierville is the 4 seed that you want to see if you're undefeated Clarksville.
I think it's probably the last 4 seed you want to see if you're undefeated Clarksville.
Yeah, this did the Wildcats no favors, and I'm really fearful for Isaac Shelby and his team that all the good stuff that took place for them this fall comes to an end tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Clarksville here. I think they've got the momentum. They did not have a very good first half against Rossview, but turned it on in the second half, and I think that's the team that's going to show up on Friday night. So give me the Wildcats to keep going at least this week against Collierville.
I will tell you that if there's a game that I
am the
would
least
not
confident,
be bothered by being wrong about, this would probably be it.
Yeah, I'm the least confident about this one. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a game I'm not super confident about. So. Got a couple games that are in our coverage area. We don't get a chance. So we taped our Main Street Murray show. Just FYI, we didn't get a chance to really dive into either of these because we were surprisingly rushed with time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a little time now. We can talk about it.
We do.
Summit goes to Antioch in a very interesting matchup. I wonder if these two teams have ever played. I would look it up, but I can't. So.
Don't.
Not touching it before the internet goes out on us and we're in, terrible trouble. So
yeah. I don't know that they have played. Summit is only
12
years old.
So and
I will tell you that there is an interesting little tidbit here. Summit receiver / linebacker, maybe defensive back, Cooper Phelps is the son of former Antioch quarterback Eric Phelps.
okay, they have not played. This will be the first time that they have matched up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's an interesting little storyline.
Yeah. So somebody should go sit next to Eric tomorrow night.
Just
and
listen.
see who he's rooting for.
Yeah, just listen.
Yeah.
This is a game that I'm really intrigued with because Antioch has certainly had its struggles this year. Summit's had its struggles, but Summit has been really good in the second half of the season.
They've been good in the second half of the season. I think they've grown up some in the second half of the season. I think they kind of settled in, kind of figured some things out, that kind of thing.
You have to really buy in to this Brian Coleman offense. Obviously, what we saw with the Wades and that group of talent that they had, a couple of years ago, the offense was a little different, but Brian's kind of back to running Brian Coleman offenses.
3 yards in a cloud of dust.
And you gotta buy in. And sometimes it's hard to buy in when you're playing 6A opponents and they're out there running shotgun spreads and throwing it around, and you're like, why can't we do that? Like, listen, trust me. Trust the process.
Because we don't do that.
Trust the process. I mean, this is a guy who, made the quarterfinals of the playoffs doing it 3 years in a row.
Now, the thing is, they can throw it around.
Sure.
They've got the folks. I mean, Dylan Pierce, again, Cooper Phelps, they've got guys that can throw it too. McElhaney has come on in the passing game, I think.
But he's much more dangerous with them legs.
They will hit a wheel route with Dominic Hollis as well.
Dude, that wheel route has been a staple of the Brian Coleman offense for a long time.
Yeah.
It was disgusting when it was Ty Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, he used to make people look silly, and Dominic Hollis has that ability.
Mm-hmm. So
that being said, I've got Summit winning. I think it's going to be a good football game.
Yeah, I'd agree with both of those. I've got Summit winning. I think it's going to be a pretty good football game. I'm interested to see how, Antioch in their first or second year. I think it's Devin Arnold's first year, the Bears coach, just to see how they hold up against, a Williamson County team with some depth.
He was there last year.
Was he? Okay.
According to this.
Okay. Then this is the second year. It was either his first or his second year.
Yeah. So
former Lipscomb assistant, I believe.
There you go.
For what that's worth.
Independence goes to Smyrna. First time in, what'd you say, 4 years?
Since 19.
Gosh, it just doesn't feel like that.
It does feel shorter. This is your Main Street Preps game of the week, by the way.
It is, in fact.
This is 1 versus 4. Smyrna, the Region 5-6A champion, coming in at 6-4. Independence, the number 4 seed out of Region 6-6A, coming in at 5-5 after that 32-17 loss to Summit last week in the border battle. And you've seen Independence at least once. Is it just once?
Just once.
But defensively,
that's where they make their money.
Mm-hmm.
They make their bones on defense and with great linebacker play.
And then getting just enough offensively.
Well, Luke McNeely on offense is, offense kind of runs through him and his legs. I mean, he's got to be successful running the read option. He's got to be successful, in the short intermediate passing game. He's not going to hit you deep for a whole lot. So this is going to be a much different Independence team that Matt Williams is facing this time versus the one he faced the previous 5 times he's lost to them. He's 0-5 is Matt Williams against Independence. But
just been beating the hell out of everybody else.
Everybody. It is just an unfortunate situation. The only coach in Smyrna history to beat Independence is Philip Shadowins, a 46-20 win in 2007.
You know who was on that team?
Who was on the 07 team or the Smyrna team?
No, yeah, the Smyrna team.
The quarterback, future Atlanta Brave, Sonny Gray.
That would be cool. Smyrna might have won the state championship that year.
Well, there you go. That being said, Independence goes over there coming off a tough couple of losses. Had a chance to be the 1 seed. Before losing to Brentwood and then Ravenwood and then Summit.
Yeah.
Sending them all the way down to the 4 seed. And that being said, they did not have Luke McNeely against Brentwood. That's the game they lost 28-0. Did have him against Summit, but again, maybe getting his legs back. So we'll see what happens. I've got Independence winning. I've got them winning by a point. And I think it is going to live up to the game of the week moniker.
I've got them winning as well. And that 2007 Smyrna team did win the state championship.
There you go.
So that's what it took for Smyrna to beat Independence.
If they beat Independence, they got to feel good about their chances in Class 6A.
Right.
Last time you played them, or last time you beat them, you won a state title. So there you go.
Hang on just a second.
I wonder who's on this. That wasn't. That was in the. Was that in the finals?
I believe it was.
It was in the finals. That was the state
That's what I was looking up. Yeah.
That was the state championship game. So there you go. I didn't realize the F was there for finals until just now. So there you go. Man, what a great show. If you missed any part of it, go back and watch it because we had a fantastic interview with former Indiana standout and current Tennessee State Representative KIRK HASTON to start the show. Kit Hartsfield joined us as well in Coach's Corner. David UBBEN was fantastic, as always, talking Michigan and other things in the world of college football. And, of course, tonight, Titans, Steelers, Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Tomorrow, we'll pick some college football games. We'll visit with – who do we have tomorrow?
Oh, good Lord. See, you wouldn't put me on the spot.
I know I could. I had off the top of my head. I knew who we were supposed to have, but we do have 2 great guests.
Well, we've got Teresa Walker.
That's right. Teresa's going to join us to talk about the Titans.
Yeah.
And gosh, that's going to bug me.
It's going to bug me too.
We better figure out who it is to make sure we got them.
No doubt. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We will. Come back tomorrow for a surprise guest. It'll be a surprise to you and us.
We'll just see who calls in.
So, anyway, this has been Main Street Sports Day presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock.